Hello, welcome to Scundered, the podcast about embarrassing stories. My guest today is a stand-up comedian, a landscape gardener, and came third in the Not-So-New Comedian of the Year 2024. Please welcome Ian Thomson.
Hello, it's me. I was very much looking forward to hearing the intro because, I've listened to some of the other podcasts and I'm like, oh, this person's an actor, a radio presenter, a producer, but
You got
please
three
welcome
things.
bald dickhead Ian Thomson.
I nearly had ginger in there as well, just to pad it out.
I am biologically ginger.
No. I am. Do you know what? I actually did have a longer list, but I just thought I'd spend too long doing these intros, going and then this and then that. So I could have had husband, dad.
Not a husband.
Are you not?
No.
Oh, excuse me.
Living in sin.
Oh my God, get out! I thought you were married. So excuse me.
Everyone thinks that, but I just enjoy
have that demeanour about
the
you.
bachelor lifestyle too much with my partner of 21 years, our 2 children and our cat on huge mortgage.
Now, is it too personal to ask why you're not married? Probably is. I'll move on.
No, it's not.
Okay. So why aren't you married?
Thanks for asking. No, well,
It's not for everyone.
So Shona, my partner, was married.
Okay.
Whenever she was 21 for a year or
Jeez,
something.
That's way too young.
Yeah. And then whenever we started going out 4 or 5 years later, it was just having listened to her experience, I was like, yeah, marriage is a bit pointless, really.
She's not selling it.
So no, neither of us
Well,
were.
that was the worst year of my life. You're let's not do that.
Yeah. So
I think there's something very romantic about that.
yeah.
Because in a way it implies that you really do. I'm not trying to slag off my marriage or anybody else's, but if there's no legal reason for you to stay together, there's no paperwork to sort out. It is purely just it's love.
Well, we still have paperwork in case
okay.
things go tits up
Oh, do you?
or someone dies. So
Right, so kind of like married but not married.
yeah,
So you've got
pretty
all
much. We got a will and stuff when we got a mortgage together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's better to say my girlfriend as well because it sounds like
So
I'm
it's
still a player.
It does. That's exactly what you sound like, Ian. It does sound a wee bit. I mean, it's not non-committal because you've been together for such a long time. But Fraser slags me off that we have been married nearly 10 years and I still haven't changed my name on my passport. And it took me about 7 years before I went to the doctors to change my last name. And when I went in, they were like, reason for changing your name? And I was like, I've got married. And they went, when did you get married? And I was like, 2016.
Yeah.
I was just giving it a wee chance to see if it would take, but it has. So I'll take the leap.
Can't rush into these things.
No, absolutely not. And I'm not paying £75 to change a passport that is now nearly up. So we'll change it next year.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, you never know if you're
That's
still
lovely.
married.
If I'm still married, we'll see. No, we will be married. Thank you, Fraser. So listen, this was something I remember saying at the time, and it was only when I was just getting my head together before you came in about the Not-So-New Comedian. What is it? Not-So-New Comedian of the Year? This was in London.
Yes.
And so how'd you even enter that? Because I didn't know anything about it
I
before
don't
I
know
saw you in it.
how I came across it. I think I must have just followed the Museum of Comedy or something, and
so
then
that's where it
saw it
was.
advertised. And my brother lives in London, so I was like, that'd be quite good to go over and have a
handy.
wee weekend on the ties.
Yes.
And,
So you got to the final and you came placed.
yeah, third out of, I don't know, there was over 100. So there was
Wow.
3 rounds. And the first round, no offense to anyone that might be listening that was in it, but you were all completely shit. I mean that in a nice way. No, I remember sitting there thinking,
Oh, I've won
this is a lower standard than any open mic night I've done in Belfast.
Really? So were all of the heats in London as well? It wasn't like
Yeah, it
around
was
the
all
place?
the Museum of Comedy. So
Right, okay.
they're owned by the Leicester Square Theatre. It's the same setup as the New Comedian of the Year that Leicester Square run. But the guy that books it said that he was just fed up with people coming on and talking about their gap year. And he was like, I'm going to book this for a more mature comedian. So I think that the stipulations are you have to be over 35. You have to have been doing comedy for more than 5 years, and it can't be your full-time job.
Okay.
So,
oh, wow. I'm sorry I didn't know about this.
yeah, no, just give it a go. It's good fun. Although it's not a massive prize or anything. So
but
I think by the time I'd flown over 3 times, it was only about 700 quid down by the time I got my prize money.
But that's the thing. Sometimes it's not about what the actual prize is. It's just it's all about what you can say. You know, it's another credit.
Yeah.
So something else that then you can put on your next bio for your next gig. And it sounds very impressive. Sort of like UK-wide.
Also, it was really enjoyable. And it's like, you know, obviously we all gig together locally and you sort of know everyone's material and everyone's really supportive and great. But it was nice to be on a bill with people you'd never seen.
Yes.
But that first heat,
I remember
I was really invested in some of the acts, waiting for a big twist at the end of the joke or anything. Oh, right. And then they were just like, that's me done, thanks very much. And I was like, what the fuck was that?
And they've been doing it for more than 5 years. This isn't just like, this is my third gig.
You know, there are a few delusional folk.
Yeah. We're not known. Comedians aren't known for sticking to the rules when it comes to entering competitions.
No.
I've seen some people in the BBC New Comedy Awards where you're like,
Yeah.
You've only been doing it for 2 years, have you?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
I know. I remember. Well, I got to the regional showcase last year in the BBC New Comedy Awards. So it wasn't broadcast, but one of the acts on it was on Comedy Central the following night.
Yes, I know. This is what I mean. We're not known. Nobody's really paying attention to the rules. But this is what you got to do to get ahead. That's part of my problem. I think I'm far too civil service about it all. I'm like, let me just read the terms and conditions. Oh no, I couldn't apply for that.
I'm like that as well.
It's our age.
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
So that was the not so new comedian. I've explained the criteria, but one of the guys that was in the final, I noticed was then in a heat for the new comedian of the year, following year. And I was like, how did he place?
Yeah.
And then he's in the same
and for not one person to go, just a minute.
But it's booked by the same people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it said you couldn't have been doing comedy for more than 2 years.
Oh my God. See, this is where I feel old, where I need to let these sort of things go, because my internal old lady is like, not fair. And I need to
I'm going to write to Jim Allister.
I'm going to write to Jim Allister. Yeah. But it's, I know just to go back to what you're saying about seeing yourself in a different context, a different lineup, it is really good, actually. Even if it is just so you can go, oh God, I'm actually quite good at this. Or, you get a chance to see where you rank a little bit in the bigger picture. But what I love, I've only done 2 competitions, and one of them was Funny Women, which was like, it was before COVID, so it was like 2019, and got to the semi-final. Thank you. But what I loved the most about that is in the semi-final and the regional heat, which was in Dublin, obviously it was all female acts. There was like 10 female acts. And I realised like 2 or 3 acts in, I was like, this is brilliant. Nobody's going, oh God, it's a female comedian. And the pressure was off in terms of being the only woman on stage or something. So it was just really, and everybody was talking about such totally different things. It was really diverse. And I was like, this is what it must feel like to be you, Ian.
Yeah.
To be
it's good.
A straight white
Who won
lineup.
Who won it?
Who won it that? Do you know who won it that year? Laura Smith. Do you know Laura Smith? She's
Oh, hang on. Where's
she's from London.
No, I don't know.
And she's skyrocketed. She went really, really quickly from having done very few gigs. That was like, I think she's talked about this. It was like her 4th gig or something when she entered that, and she won. I think she's been signed now. She's done Live at the Apollo.
Her 4th gig?
It was something like that. She just decided to try it, and she was brilliant. And that was the one consolation I had. She was in the same semi-final as me, and she won the semi-final. And I was like, you better win. So I can feel better about myself. But no, I won't be doing any more competitions because it's so destroying at the same time.
I've done one since, and I got to the final of it. But
what was that one?
I don't want to say.
Okay.
But
I could look it up.
Yeah. Well, on the night of the final, the MC sort of said, okay, so the way tonight works is we're going to have 5 acts in the first half and 5 acts in the second half or whatever.
Yeah.
So your acts in the first half are going to have da-da-da-da, 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 and then the whole audience started cheering when he said this particular name.
Oh, jeez.
And they won. So,
God.
you know, it was like, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's not that person didn't deserved to win.
But you didn't really feel like...
I think anyone could have won.
Yeah.
But
there's a weird vibe as well. Not with the Funny Women one. The very first one I was in was right when I started, and it only ran for 1 year and never again. It was called the Hobgoblin Comedy Awards.
Right, okay.
So Hobgoblin are a
beer,
so they were sponsoring it, and it was another UK-wide one, and they came to Belfast and did a heat. And then I went to the final in Leicester, and was on with some brilliant comedians, and but all of them were sort of, it was like being outside the exam hall before an exam. Everyone was like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I haven't revised, and like, I just go out and party. I don't really do. Everyone was pretending that they were going to be shit, and then they all went out and they stormed it, and I was like, oh no, I believed you, because I was really getting my hopes up. I was like, oh, I'm so much better than all these people, and I found it really difficult. I don't like the competitive aspect of it. I was like, I don't like it.
There's acts that I've gigged with that do that like every time.
Yeah.
Before a gig, they're like, oh, I'm going to die.
This is going to be terrible.
And then
there's a combination of things. I think some people genuinely do believe that and are just very self-critical. And then I think there are people who are doing it so that you'll go, but you're brilliant.
Yeah.
You're always good.
No, it's definitely the latter with these acts.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah. No, that's the thing. You go, I'm going to die on ass, and then you do. So at least you're true to your word.
Speaking of dying on our arses,
let's
talk about the worst gig we've ever done, Ian.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know we were going right to embarrassment so soon.
So tell us about this corporate gig that you and I did a few Christmases ago. What was the
It was a software company. It was the top floor of the Europa Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Dear love you, because you had to get there like early to set up your keyboard and everything, and then they just kept saying, "Oh, we're not ready for the comedy just yet. Can you just give us another 20 minutes?"
And I went to Boojum.
You must have been there for about 4 hours before it started.
I had like a big sequin jacket on in Boojum, just like, well, call me when you need me. Yeah, it was a long night.
Yeah,
yes.
And they had a Fisher-Price microphone.
Yes.
There
is nothing more soul destroying when you walk in and that's what they hand you.
I
and
know.
You're just like, oh dear God. They're like, it's great, it's wireless, you can walk anywhere. And I'm like, no, this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. I think I did about 10 minutes, and then I think you did about 15.
My memory of it is when I came, because you'd said to me, it's a software company, it's their Christmas do. So I was like, oh, Christmas do's are going to be a bit rowdy or whatever. And it wasn't that it was rowdy. It was like they were all men, I'd say in their 30s-ish, late 20s, mid to mid 30s, all wearing sort of plaid shirts. None of them, they all worked remote, so nobody knew each other.
Yeah.
So it was this really weird vibe of all these like sort of software, computery guys. Very few women. I remember there being like 3 women in the room.
But it was chaotic. So that was the thing.
Yeah.
Like, because they'd all been working from home.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time a lot of them had ever actually met.
That's
in
what I
the
mean.
flesh.
So they were like, oh my God, David, you've got legs. It was really weird. It was just a weird vibe.
David was very impressive because he had 5 legs.
But whenever I got up, because it was so noisy and busy, and the bar was open, and then I got up with a piano, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. But that's always my positive, sunny outlook. But I just started singing, because anytime I tried to speak, it was just either you couldn't hear me or they would talk over. I then said something to somebody about not having seen women in real life before. It was something really cruel, and he looked very, very upset, and I was like, Merry Christmas.
Well, I've actually had a worse Christmas experience since then, which was for Charles Hurst. And like they just sat me up in the corner of the room beside the DJ.
Oh, this is for a corporate do, for their Christmas do.
And
they're not going to be booking you again now. You've known.
Well, funny, I was back the following night to do the second one, which actually went quite well.
Okay,
but it's just that's the sort of thing people don't think about it when they book you, and you're like, I don't know. And like that software company, whenever I was first asked, I immediately said no, and then they're like, "Oh, the budget is X," and I was like, "Right, how long do I need to do?" So this was the same thing, and like it was well paid.
Yeah,
but like everyone's on their staff night out for Christmas. They might only get out like once or twice a year. Yeah. They've no idea who you are. It's different if it's like
in it. Yeah.
Tim McGuire or Shane Todd or someone, but they're like, who the fuck is this guy? And they're
Why's that waiter got a microphone?
Yeah, and they were literally like eating their Christmas dinner, and I'm standing there going, And the worst thing about it as well is because nobody's listening, they then hear trigger words. So every so often you say pedo or finian or something, and they're like, what did he say?
What? I know. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I just remember one lady just like cutting her food, just putting a forkful into her mouth, and she was looking like she had no choice but to look at me because the way the flipping
just
tables were laid out. And I remember just making eye contact with her and just going, this is one of the worst experiences of my life. She started laughing. I was like, well, at least I got someone. Then to make it even worse, some bastard then just stuck his phone up and was like obviously taking a video.
Oh God.
Of me just having a breakdown
dying
in the corner of the room.
Oh no. Well, listen, Ian is available for your Christmas do. Please do consider him for
I love software companies.
Did you, talking about just being slightly older, are we sort of similar in age? Are we sort of, you're in your 40s?
I'm even older than you.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm 46 and a half.
No, I'm 46 as well.
I know, but I'm 46 and a half.
Jesus, what about in primary school? You're like, when my birthday is in. Right, okay.
Do you know when my birthday is?
No. I'll look it up.
It's the day before Fraser's.
Okay, right. Well, I'm not going to dox everybody online with their dates of birth.
Okay.
But I'll never forget that now.
Good girl.
What was I going to say? Yeah, so when did you start comedy? Did you start when you were a bit older?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 38 when I did my first gig.
So you're like me, really, in that you've not had the experience of being like in your 20s or being one of those younger comedians kind of starting. And do you think it helps? Do you think it helps in terms of your material and your confidence and things like that?
It's hard to know. Like, there's pros and cons. So, I mean, I remember when I started, like, in the space of a year, there was like James McCagney and Jordan Robinson, all these other guys who were in their 20s, and they were doing like, 1 or 2 gigs a week. And I was like doing one a month on a busy month.
Yeah.
So there was commitments that meant I couldn't do all that.
Yes.
But as my kids are older now, I'm able to do a lot more.
Right, okay.
But one thing I did catch on to was people assumed I'd been doing it for years. So all of a sudden people were like, oh, would you be free to headline? I was like, oh yeah. Big dog over here, fucking no bother. Not knowing that I only had 5 minutes of crap material. Like,
But that's a really good, that's a compliment, isn't it? To sort of, because you must have had that confidence as well. They're not just literally looking at your face and going,
yeah. Well, I remember
doing experience.
I remember going down to Dublin to do a gig, and like I think it was like my 15th gig.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, "Oh, I'm assuming you've been doing this for years," and I was like, "Yeah." But then that was a double-edged sword as well, because then I would have like, I wasn't consistent for a long time. So sometimes I would do really well and then, get booked to do another gig and then just die on my ass.
Yeah.
So
I think that's quite common. It's quite unusual to be consistently storming it, like especially at the start. It's more usual to just be shit over and over and over again, isn't it? Rather than I think it's quite normal to have
I'm shit over and over and over again now. So the consistency is finally...
You've finally got the consistency.
Yeah, it's leveled out.
And why did you start comedy in the first place?
Well, a few people had said to me over the years, I can remember like dropping out of university and a few of my friends are like, so what are you going to do? And I was like, do you know, I would really love to try stand-up comedy.
All right.
And the 2 people I confessed it to were like, that's not really a career. Like, that's not really a real thing.
Who were the 2 people that you were confiding in? Your mates?
Yeah. So I'm like, so I just like completely parked that when I was like 22. Right. And so yeah, I've been working in landscaping for about a year, and a few people had said to me over the years, and then I broke my knee in a work accident, and I was off work for months.
Right.
And I was like, do you know, I wonder, like, seeing I've got all this free time, could I get a gig somewhere? I didn't even know there was open mic comedy, and like I lived like a 10-minute walk from the Pavilion at the time.
Okay.
So
what sort of year are we talking here?
2017.
Okay, so there was stuff happening. It wasn't like there was no comedy anywhere. There
wasn't much. I think there was
more now.
There was the Pavilion. Kill Your Darlings had just started.
Okay.
And then Lavery's The Empire. But nothing, like the Pavilion was the only sort of
open
new
mic
act
type.
night.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and I did about, I don't know, only a handful, like 10 gigs in the first year or something. And then it was sort of 2018 when I started piling into it a bit more.
But I agree with those people. I can see why those people thought you'd been doing it for a long time, because you're very good for a start.
Yeah, well, when I'm good, I'm quite good.
When you're good, you're good. No, you are good. And but there's something, you have a real good stage presence. You're very confident on stage. So have you ever done anything kind of on stage? Never, not comedy wise, but would you have been in a performing space? Or
not really. Like, I think I worked in a state agency and sales and different jobs.
Well, there it is.
So I can remember just like having to like spend a lot of time talking to
and
people
think on your feet and speak. Yeah.
But I think especially when there was like awkward situations, I would always try and like be a bit of bants to sort of, lighten the mood a little at times.
Yes.
So, but then it was once I started in landscaping, there was a guy I worked with who was like, "Have you never thought about doing comedy?" And I was like, "I actually have." And he goes, "I think you'd be really good at it."
Yeah.
Then I broke my knee, and one of my mates had tickets to a gig in the Black Box, a comedy thing, and I went there. We were sitting in the front row. I was on the crutches with a cast, the whole way down my leg, and then afterwards went for a couple of pints, and he was like, "Have you never thought about doing comedy?" And that's when I was like, "Actually, you're the second person to say that to me."
Wow.
In the last year.
Yeah.
But people had said it other times.
Yeah.
There was one time, actually, I remember working in a state agency in Scotland, and we were just having this like office Christmas party in the office before we went out and having a few drinks. And everyone had to put like an interesting fact into the hat and then like draw out the fact, and you had to guess who it was about.
Right.
And somebody had put in, at school, I was voted the funniest person in my year. And it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, "That's definitely Ian."
Oh, wow.
And
was
then,
the person who put it in just
he was fucking raging. He was so annoyed. And
but I'm hilarious. No, you're not.
He was very, very funny. And I'm surprised we got any work done on that office because...
So as an estate agent, that's really fascinating to me, actually, because I know a lot of people might have come in to stand up through acting or, they've been in other sort of performance type things. But I think estate agency and sales and stuff like that, you're much more well equipped to go into stand-up in some ways. Because you're having to... Well, first of all, you're dealing with the general public on a daily basis. You must be dealing with you must have some insane stories of crazy people.
Yeah.
And, you're lying to people all the time, Ian. Lying.
So I don't even have kids. Like...
This is all part of the sales pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like being an estate agent?
I liked it in Scotland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it renting or sales?
Both. Okay. But it's a lot more sort of straightforward. And then I moved back here and I was just like, this is like a different job. It's, it's Scotland when people sort of agree a price, the buyer and the seller swap keys about 6 weeks later. Right. Whereas here it just drags on and on.
Right,
and there's
okay.
so much. So I was just like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
And then by that stage, we had 2 kids and we sort of worked out by the time Isla was sort of, old enough to start into nursery. I was like, if we have them both in nursery, it's going to like just cancel out what I'm earning.
Yeah.
So I stayed at home then for a few years and then just started doing gardening.
Gardening?
Yep.
Brilliant.
Uh-huh.
So do you have any embarrassing stories? It doesn't have to be about estate agency or sales, but...
not so much an estate agent. Funny, I was... the previous episode, I think it was Rachel McPake saying about having a very high embarrassment threshold.
You don't get embarrassed?
I'm exactly the same. I was saying to Shona, I was like, can you think of any? And she was like, well, there's times I've been embarrassed for you, but you haven't given a shit. And that's funny. She was talking about taking like our daughter to the cinema at the weekend, and there's this K-pop Demon Hunters or something that's really big.
Seen it, love it.
So it's like the Rocky Horror Show sing-along in the cinema.
Yeah.
And she said that nobody, bar our daughter, who was like belting it out at the top of her voice. And she goes,
her.
Yeah, well, Shona was just like, she definitely gets that from
She gets up, yeah.
She didn't feel awkward.
It's this gene of just like, no, not embarrassed by anything.
Yeah.
Were you always like that? Like when you were at school even?
I think when I was at school, so I was in boarding at Methody, right? So,
here?
And I was chubby.
Sorry, I'm about to bully you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. It's like water off the duck's back.
I'm only joking.
I was ginger, I was chubby, and like all these things that you just sort of got the piss taken out of you for. And I just sort of ran with it.
So you were in boarding school?
Yeah.
And did you board? Where is the boarding part of that school? Is it on the school grounds? Or
Yeah.
Right,
it doesn't exist anymore.
I was going to say, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's just like the main.
Just picturing it like Mallory Towers now, like you all having like midnight. You wouldn't have read Mallory Towers. I'm ancient.
No, everyone usually says Harry Potter, and I'm like, I've never seen any of that.
No,
I
haven't seen any Harry Potter.
Because we were like exactly the right age to miss Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So we would have been 18 when the books come out.
Yes, that's right.
So it's like, enjoy your wee books, virgins.
Enjoy your goblins and stuff. Yeah, I know.
So people like, it was only when I started doing stand-up, I was like, what the fuck is that joke about? Like, what's he talking about?
Yeah, you're us huffer puffers. And I'm just like looking up my little
like
old lady dictionary.
I don't know. Guy that lives under the stairs. Well, I don't understand. I'm old.
But what's boarding school? Because I don't know. There's so few people will have had that experience living here.
Yeah.
Because it's so unusual.
Well, it was like the first couple of years were pretty tough. There was a very like old school sort of senior master that was in charge.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
then he retired and a new guy took over who just didn't give a shit. And like if you think about like stupid things teenage boys get up to, it was like 24 hours a day.
Oh God. I can just smell it. It just feels
it smelt of disinfectant.
Oh.
But no, it was really good crack. Like there was never like,
you don't have like a traumatic
I know
experience.
people that were there that didn't particularly enjoy it, but even they would say there was never a day went by you weren't pissing yourself laughing about something.
Because I remember when I was like, it's the being away from home part for me. Like when I was 12, I went on a school trip, a French trip to France, funnily enough. And we all had to go and stay with a family, right? So this poor family got me, who was away for 4 nights. And I cried from the minute I arrived until the morning I left. I could not cope with being away from home.
How old were you?
12.
I know, but that's a bit different. You're in a foreign country and you don't speak the language.
It was only second year, so I hadn't even got the full vocabulary for French, right? So all I could talk about was what age I was where I lived.
Just you volleyball.
I'm just saying it over and over again. And they just didn't know what to do. This poor family didn't know what to do with me. So I'd be sitting at dinner every night just like trying to keep it together. And then the phone would ring and it would be my parents rang me every bloody night because they were like, Jesus, we just wanted 4 nights without her. But she's causing a scene. And I'd get on the phone to them and start bawling and then come back to the dinner table and cry all the way through dinner. They'd be like taking me out to show me things and I'd just be crying in the back seat of the car. It was a nightmare. And about 2 years later, we were on a holiday, me and my family in France. And we were quite nearby where they lived. And my dad was like, actually, we weren't nearby. We were like an hour and a half's drive away. And my dad said, wouldn't it be a lovely surprise if we went and visited your French family? And I was like, oh, I'm sure they'd love to see me. Let's do that. With no contact details for them. We just drove for this hour and a half, 2 hours, got to the house. And I arrived up. Here's us in a Volvo estate, my entire family with a bunch of flowers, and they wouldn't let me in. They came out. We like
maybe they didn't recognize you because you weren't crying.
I had a smile on my face. They're like, "Kies, who is this?" No, Kies, that's Spanish. But anyway, the kids came to the door, the 2 girls that we'd stayed with, and they just came to they stood at this fence and they were just like, "Bonjour," and I was like, "It's me. It's just sweet Teresa. I have come back." And they literally took the flowers off me, went back inside. We were like, all right.
Back in the car for another hour and a half.
And I'd realized, it's only when I thought about that again, they lived at this gorgeous it was a wee farmhouse they lived in, but there was only 2 bedrooms. So the mum and dad were in 1 bedroom and the 2 girls had the other bedroom, but they gave me that bedroom and they slept in the shed.
In the shed?
In the shed for 4 nights while I lay across both their beds going, ah.
I'm not surprised that
I miss my family. And they're like, I miss my fucking bed. So no wonder they saw me. They were like, she's not taking our bed again.
Yeah. Give us the flowers and fuck off.
She's come back for the house.
Now, some of this stuff, so yeah, there was lots of shenanigans, but there was only one thing that I remembered a couple of years ago, whenever we were like 14. So this is younger than my son is now.
Yeah.
So there would have been like people like disabled the fire alarms on the fire escape, so you could like open the fire escape at night and sneak out and stuff. So there's people honestly going to the limelight and all when they're like 15 or 16, coming back in and getting into bed and getting up for school in the morning.
Yeah.
But I can
and then
remember
all tragically dying in a fire.
Yeah. So whenever we were 14, I remember one night. So there was like a big dorm that had about 24 people, but there was like cubicles. So you would have had two bunk beds in each cubicle.
Oh, you didn't even have your own bed. You were in bunk beds?
Yeah.
How much were you paying for this?
Up until I didn't pay for anything.
Well, I know, obviously, but yeah.
But yeah, one night, anyway, so the fire escape was in my cubicle. I remember just like waking up one night and I was aware the lights were on and just like opening my eyes and there was just a fucking RUC man with a gun standing there. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? So he was interrogating some of the other guys and basically what happened.
In bed?
They had decided they were peckish and they were like, come on, we'll go to the Lisburn Road and get pizzas.
Right.
So they took an order and like had a black bin bag full of like 8 pizzas or something.
Yeah.
And they came back and you had to hop over the railings at the front of it. So the police saw this and were like, what are they up to? And followed them.
I'm going to follow them into their bedroom and find out. Not appropriate.
In fairness, they did have like little black eye masks and swag across the pizza bag. So
God.
They just come up, like two policemen just come in. They're like, are you breaking in? They're like, no, we live here. We were just like sneaking out to get pizzas at 2 a.m. And they were like, all right, sorry to bother you. And just went back out the fire escape. And I was like, no concern.
Moving their gun out of your face.
No concern for child welfare or like reporting it to anyone. They're just like,
well, that's fine.
Enjoy your pizza.
You see, this is where we will start to sound like we're the real old people of comedy, because I remember the first year I'd passed my driving test and I was driving my mum's car all around the place. I went to the cinema one night and borrowed her car, and she said, you can have my car today as long as you take all that rubbish in the boot to the dump. So take that to the dump and then you can have my car. And I was like, sure. Forgot all about it, drove my friends around all day and went to the cinema. And coming back from the cinema that night, got to an army checkpoint. And so I'm in like a white Ford Escort, like it looked really kind of like, like really like all souped up and everything. It was so silly. I don't know why my mum was driving around with like LED lights underneath.
Big flipping hydraulic
furry
suspension.
Dice. And this soldier tapped the window with the gun. He just went tap, tap like this. And I was like, I don't remember this on the test. I froze. I was so terrified. And he's like, rolled the window down and he said, where are you going? And I was like couldn't remember my name, couldn't remember, just panicked. I said, I'm just going home. I was just at the cinema.
I've not got a bomb.
And there's certainly nothing in my boot. But I just said, I'm just going to and he said, is this your car? And I went, no, it's my mum's. And he said, do you have your driver's license? I went, no, I don't, I'm sorry. And he said, right, can you just get out and let me see the boot? And I was like, okay. And then I opened the boot and it was just black bin bags everywhere, right? And he said, can you open those bin bags? I went, no, I don't want to. And he was like, open the bin bags. And I went, it's just rubbish. I just don't want to open it. And he started like prodding it with a gun.
Oh, seriously?
And just to check, like there wasn't sort of, anything other than rubbish in it. And I got into and I just started to cry. And I was just like, I think this is maybe the first time I was like, I might need a wee antidepressant. I've been crying since I was 12. But this soldier was just like,
French trip.
I know, since the French trip, I was like, but the soldier was just like, why are you crying? I was like, you pointing a gun at me? He's like, I'm not pointing a gun at you. And oh God, the whole thing just got really, I think he was just like, I can't deal with a crying woman, just let her go. And I drove home in floods of tears. And my mum was like, did you go to the dump? And I was like, no. She's like, right, that's it. You're not getting the car again. But yeah, that's my kind of first time out driving after I'd passed my test.
Yeah, God, I remember, like army checkpoints were so weird. But here, when you were saying about like opening the boot, there was a comedian whenever I'd been gigging for 6 months to a year, was going up the Derry for a gig, and there was like a sort of messenger group chat for all the acts, and I put in, if anyone wants a lift from Belfast, I'll be driving to and from Derry.
Yeah.
So this act got in touch with me from down south who was getting the bus to Belfast. I'd never met them before. And I'd been doing a Homer that day, like in someone's garden. So I was like, "Oh, do you want to stick your
A
stuff
Homer?
in?" Like working in someone's garden
Oh, right. Okay.
by myself.
I was thinking, what's a Homer Simpson? I don't know what you mean.
No. But I was like, "Oh, do you want to stick your stuff in the boot?" And I opened the boot, and all there was a chainsaw, a shovel, and a can of petrol.
Sorry, that's just my weekend gear.
Yeah, I was like, "You want to drive to Derry?"
I knew. Oh my goodness. Okay, Ian, I'm gonna ask you for more stories in a wee second, but I'm gonna read you one that somebody has sent me. So this is some embarrassing stories that people have sent me in, and I want to see if you can. I'm just sharing this in case you're cheating, just to see if you can guess what happens next in this
Okay.
story to make it an embarrassing story. Now this one's really short, okay, and it's sent in from. I've written down a fake name so that I don't mess this up. This is from
Livingstone.
This is from no one I'm related to, from Dermot, and he's a doctor, Dr.
Okay.
Dermot.
Right.
That's totally not his name. So, this is his story, right? I'm a palliative care doctor in a large hospital. We're going to keep it light, right? I was reviewing a patient, and it seemed likely this patient was going to pass away that day, right? He said no, he was comfortable, and they did everything they could to make sure of that. His brother then arrived to visit and came into the room while myself and my colleague were with this patient. And without thinking at all, what happened next to make this an embarrassing story? It's a hard one.
Said, "He's fucked. How are you?"
You're actually not far off. He said, without thinking at all, he said, "Och, Joe, here's a visitor for you. Look alive."
Oh no!
And the colleague, the other doctor or nurse, looked at me horrified, but the brother just seemed to kind of wave it off. And he kind of mumbled, "Oh, well, you know what I mean." And then just like ran out of the room. The reason I love that story so much is that's a doctor. Right?
Yeah.
Normally, our embarrassing stories of hospitals are like, "Oh, I was in this really, compromising position and I said something stupid." But I love the fact that there are doctors, well-educated people, messing up just like the rest of
Well,
us.
do you know, I know a few medics. Like my dad was a doctor.
Oh, right.
And I think every
hence
one of
the
them,
Methody boarding school. I
every
see.
one of them has a story like that.
Oh, seriously?
And like there's one I'm friends with. I remember he put up a Facebook status about having to do like a sort of chest infection examination with the stethoscope.
Yeah.
And just saying to this female patient, "Now, nice big breasts." Breasts. Like,
Oh, God.
there was somebody, there's like one of my dad's colleagues told this, oh yeah,
Big breast,
about,
thank you.
there was somebody who was like repairing a flipping washing machine or a dishwasher or something and was electrocuted and died.
Right.
And I think he had to go round and issue the death certificate and speak to the family and everything. And like, I think, the words come out and then he realised, he just said, "Oh, it's an awful shock." And there was another one. Yeah,
Because it's
there's
one
like,
of those things, the minute things in your head that are like Freudian slips or whatever, where you're like, do not say this. Just as long as you don't say this word, and then it's all, you're just like breasts.
Yeah.
Can't stop saying breasts.
The best Freudian slip I ever did was sitting in a car with my boss at the time, sitting in traffic, and there was a Jaguar in front of us. And he was like, "That's such a nice car." And I said, "Yeah, I love jugs." And I was like,
There's
"Jags."
a lot of boob-based material in your life, Ian.
I mean, they're great.
I don't I embarrass myself everywhere a lot, obviously, but I don't have that many embarrassing hospital stories because thank God I'm not there that often. But I broke my wrist 2 years ago at a wedding, and I ended up in A&E at like 1:30 in the morning.
Was this on the dance floor? You broke it?
I did break it on the dance floor, but I was trying to present myself like I'd done it doing some sort of extreme sport, and I was there like in a full on like wedding guest outfit, high heels, blocked, and what it's like. I don't really drink that much anymore, but at this point, this was like my best friend's wedding, so I was like, I'm so happy for her. I must not remember it, and I drank from like 12 noon through, and I had got up at the dance floor at the very end of the night, when everyone's kind of in a big circle and everyone's like, start spreading.
Yeah.
And I decided that the bride had had enough attention. And I went into the middle of the dance floor and tried to do a Russian tea dance, the dun, 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 like kick my leg, right? And fell over, dress went over my head. And I was more embarrassed than anything. I knew I'd hurt my wrist because it's.
So you did upstage the bride, ultimately.
Oh, I did, yes. Sorry, Kerry. And I fell over and I just like ran into the toilets. I was just so embarrassed. I hadn't really noticed how badly I'd injured myself. Also, I was really, really drunk. But anyway, I had to call Fraser. He wasn't at the wedding. I was like, I might need to go to A&E. And we went there. And it was so bad. Like at one point, the nurse, when she first went, they were like in triage, she was like, well, just take that ice off the wrist. We're going to have to x-ray it. She took it off and I just saw Fraser's reaction. He just went, oh, like this, right? And I went, oh, is it bad? And the nurse was like, yeah, I think it's broken. I was like, really? I'm not sure. And Fraser told me later that like my wrist and my hand were no longer aligned. Like my hand was, it was really bad. So they had to manipulate it. They had to like pull it back in place. Anyway, I'll spare you all the horrible details. But because I had been drinking all day and they said, look, we're going to have to give you pain relief for this because it's horrific. So they gave me the little, I don't know if you've ever broken any bones or anything. You get this little pen. It's like a wee vape.
Yeah, I've seen them issuing that on football players and stuff now.
They're amazing. And they were saying the reason this is really good for pain relief is it's within about 10 minutes, you're completely like anesthetized almost. And then once you stop, it only takes about 10 minutes for the effects to wear off.
Right, okay.
I was like, should have served this at the wedding. This is delightful. And so I had that and I was talking loopy-loo, right? And they were like, do you know how you broke your wrist? And I was like, yeah. And I told them all I had broken it doing a Russian tea dance because the music playing was like really important to me and it really moved me. And they said, then I found out somebody had messaged me saying, did you know the music you were dancing to was Baby Got Back? So you know, like I like big butts and I cannot lie. And that's the song that drove me onto the dance floor. But yeah, the wee pens are great. I don't know what you call. There is I'll email Dr. Dermot and ask. It's really, really good. And like whenever you go to the fracture clinic as like a follow up, they gave me it again, and the girl in the cubicle next to me. And for some reason, the fracture clinic in the Royal is great, but it's the only ward I've been in where they're playing like dance music. There's like,
oh, really?
They always have the radio on in the background because loads of the nurses and the doctors who work there spend their lives just cutting off plaster. It's like a building site. They're all like fag on the go. Just like,
I remember getting like a cyst removed from the top of my head when I was like, I don't know, 20 or something. I'm being in Antrim Area Hospital getting this like minor surgery. And it was a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And the surgeon just had like tunes blasting as if he was in Ibiza or something.
Well, they're just at work. It's just a wee day at work.
I know, but I suppose like anyone else on a Friday afternoon, you're like, fucking yes.
Come on the weekend.
But I remember there was literally like a cartoon splurt of blood just came over and he was like, do you have any plans for the weekend, mate? And I was like, do you want to fucking concentrate on what you're doing up there?
He's like, pretty green eyes. But like they had the music going. They gave me the little vape drugs and the woman beside us and they were like, we'll be back in 10 minutes because you're both going to have to. But it was so funny. All I could hear was her going, get it out of ye. She was in there just having a night out. It was brilliant. I highly recommend the fracture clinic for your next night out.
Sounds good. Well, I mean, I have been on multiple occasions.
Oh, really? Oh, well, of course you broke your leg and
kneecapped myself.
Did you?
Yeah, that's what happened. I shattered my knee.
Did you put yourself out of the area as well?
Yeah, that's it. I got
What happened to your knee?
I got kneecapped by a dissident branch of a tree. No, I just like I was dragging the branch to a chipper and just tripped on one of the side branches.
God. Oh, Jesus. The last thing you want to trip around is a chipper.
But see, the thing, it wasn't actually that bad. Like, I didn't see a doctor for 9 days. I was walking about.
Oh, my goodness.
And then, eventually I was like, this isn't really getting any better.
Yeah.
But that was embarrassing. But the only thing, like, it's embarrassing when you injure yourself or something. Like, I've also managed to hit myself full pelt with the handle of a spade in the nuts. And like...
You're like a clown?
Yeah. And literally dropped to my knees. And before dropping to my knees, I immediately was like, did anyone see that?
Oh,
and
that's your main concern.
Yeah, completely. Before the pain
I
even registers.
know, that was the same as me.
It was the same with when I broke my knee. There was 3 of us working, and the other 2 had chainsaws on the go with like helmets on and everything. And I remember like hitting the ground and like springing back up, and like immediately it was agony.
Oh, my
But I was
goodness.
immediately like,
I hope nobody saw.
And nobody did see it.
So you don't feel embarrassment unless you're sort of severely injuring yourself, or
Yeah, but it's not really that embarrassing because nobody else saw it.
No, yeah. Yeah. So I have this image of you just being like this age from like birth. Like you just being this really kind of like confident sort of like shooing the RUC out of your dorm. That's sort of at the age of 12, just like leave, gentlemen, leave.
No, definitely not.
So you're not, you don't have you never had your awkward phase of being.
I would have done, yeah, but I think like fairly early on, like I just embraced being a douchebag and self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
I remember, would you remember Tufty and
oh yes, the school
do you remember
crossing
Ginger?
No.
So there was one called Ginger who was just this little cartoon ginger kid for road safety adverts. But whenever
called Ginger?
Yeah. So whenever we were
remember this.
Whenever we were in primary school, there was like the Ginger Roadshow where Ginger came to the school, and it was obviously someone.
It's okay to be ginger kids.
So like all the kids from my primary school, like 300, are all sitting on the floor of the gym, and Ginger on the screen is like, okay, so first I want to talk to some people from the school to see. So I'm going to get someone to stand up now. Is Ian Thomson here? And now obviously they said, right, he's Ginger, so you can get him up for some of the ginger bands. So I stood up right in front of the whole...
I love it.
And I must have been like P5 or P6.
Oh, no.
And
I'm feeling really stunned.
She was like, hello, Ian, how are you? And I was like, I'm good. And they just said, so Ian, tell me, do you have any nicknames? And I can just...
Oh, my God.
I can just remember going, no, some people call me Dickhead. Like...
Sit down, please, Ian.
I can remember just the whole school laughing, and my sister, she brings this up about how mortified she was, but I can just remember standing there looking around.
You're just loving the laughs.
It's like, your boy,
stand-up comedian in the making. What the hell was that person thinking?
Well, it was obviously to get, oh, I'm Ginger as well. That's why I'd been.
Do you have any nicknames? Let's make sure everyone here knows what they are, so that you can be harassed for the rest of your school.
But I can remember just like looking over at the headmaster, and he just had his head in his hands, like sort of equal parts ashamed and like
laughing,
pissing himself. Yeah.
That reminds me of a time, like whenever I was teaching, I was subbing somewhere at one point, and I was covering this science class, which I have no clue about science whatsoever. But the teacher who'd left the work for that day was like, we're doing reproduction. I was like, oh no. I was like, can we not just watch Mean Girls or something? Like, I just want to put a video on. But they'd left this lesson plan on reproduction that had a video, and I was like, somebody just kill me now. So I had these like they were really young. They were like year 8. And so before they came in, I hadn't had time to like look at the video, or I just had to just go with it. So they walked in, and I said, right, look, we're going to be watching a video today, and not everyone's mature enough to deal with this. I understand that. So, some of you might feel like a bit of a giggle coming on. That's just, you're a bit younger than the rest. I was basically trying to say, like, you have to sit here and behave, otherwise you're very immature. And I said, so if you feel like you're going to laugh or anything like that, just come to the back of the room and sit with me, okay? I'm just going to take this very seriously. And then I went to the back of the room, put the video on, and I could not stop laughing.
I knew this is what you were going to say.
I was at the back of the room just like... I could, but the video was it had been made in like 1975.
I remember getting those.
It was just like, Gerald has hair where he's never had hair before. Show us where your hair is, Gerald. And I was like, don't! Oh my God! And the kids were all sitting there, like they were being quite serious about it, but I was at the back going, I was like, turns out I'm not mature enough for this at all.
See, that's what they say now. Kids, like, it's called Generation Sensible.
Yeah.
And it's because they're all like so paranoid about, they don't go out and get completely wasted because they don't want photos of them like covered in puke all over social media and stuff. And they spend so much time looking at screens that like teenage pregnancy rates are way down and all through like the Western world.
Yeah.
So it's like, grow
You're
up.
saying that like a real, such a shame.
Well,
it's
come on,
let's get the teenage pregnancy rates back up here. Come on, Northern Ireland.
Way out and get fingered, you wee losers.
Ian, that's not how you get pregnant. I get to break
really?
it to you. I'm going to just pop a wee video on for you, okay? And you mightn't be mature enough to handle it.
Hair there?
Oh my goodness me! But there was loads of like, obviously I'm not a science teacher, thank God, but do you remember being at school whenever you had those types of lessons and it would always be like the art teacher? It was always someone who'd been just forced into having to sit in front of teenagers and be like, right.
Yeah.
And I remember having a teacher who, I swear to God, it was our sex education, whatever it was called at the time. I think it was called, in our school, it was called Education for Love. Isn't that awful? Education for Love. It sounds like some awful like
metal band or something.
Education for Love. And I was like, none of this sounds like love to me, sir. But he kept talking about everything he would be trying to explain to us about how the body works, how sex works, how puberty works. He kept giving us context and he'd be like, so me and my wife, for example, kept saying, when I was a boy, and I was like, please stop making this personal.
Yeah, that is.
And when I'm with my wife, I was like, this feels illegal. I do not want to hear about it anymore. But it's one of the worst things you have to do as a teacher is when that comes up and you're like, I have to do this. And I did have to do it because I was a tutor when I was a full-time teacher. And thank God they brought in some youth workers or something to come in who were like young guys to come in and talk to the kids. Because I had a tutor group who were complete rockets. I don't know where they are anymore, but they were great. And there was like a smaller number of them because they were more challenging, shall we say. And they brought in this youth worker two guys who were going to talk to them and have a really open conversation. But because of like crowd control and stuff, I still had to be there. Like
crowd
as the
control?
teacher.
What was it like?
This is where I was teaching Ian. You couldn't, had to make sure everybody behaved themselves. So I put myself in a wee office that had a window, right? And I was like, I just want you to know I can't hear. I can see everything, but I can't hear what you're saying. So you can talk freely and openly to these guys. I sat at the window. I could hear everything, right? But I was sitting there like just pretending I was working. And straight away, these two fellas went, right, before we get started, and all the hands went up straight away. And one of them was like, excuse me, why are my balls itchy? Right? And I was just sitting there. I was sitting there in full view of the class, once again, just like, trying not to laugh. I was like, I don't think I should be a teacher. I cannot take this seriously.
Well, like modern languages or something?
No, I was music.
Music?
Yeah.
So how'd you get roped into?
Because I was a tutor. So if you're a tutor, you do like, you have the personal and social education for love, So you have to look after them basically. And you would get a period with them every week where you're like, let's talk about I used to try and be really innovative about like, let's talk about how to behave in class. So I said to them one day, I'll never forget what a stupid idea this was. I said, do you know, it's very hard as a teacher if yous are coming in and misbehaving and I'm trying to so today I'm going to give one of you the chance to be the teacher and I'll show you what it's like to have a bold child in class. And they were all like, great, right? So as this kid came up, I said, right, you're the teacher now and I'm going to exhibit some of the behaviours that you would do in my class. And I went to the back of the room and I started to swing on my chair and then just fell completely over. And it was like chaos. They were all like, yeah. I was like, I won't be doing that. I thought I was being
How'd you recover
really...
from that?
Oh, I couldn't. Listen, my authority was shot anyway at this point. It was like a last minute attempt to be like, and
that's like the when someone's persistently talking or heckling in a show and the MC's like, oh, you think you're funny? Do you want to come up here?
Yeah, no.
And they usually shut up.
Yeah. No, that the equivalent of that would be them coming up and being better than me, and I'd be like, all right, okay, sit down.
Yeah.
I had a shocker at the weekend. I lost it and shouted at somebody in the crowd.
Oh, is this in Newry?
Yeah, no, it was a brilliant gig. The gig was brilliant. And it was all going really well. But it was just two guys they just had a few drinks and they weren't being disruptive. They were talking to each other about something that just happened in the row behind them, but they were explaining it to each other and they'd no idea how loud they were.
That is worse than heckling.
And I was kind of like, and I was trying to just block it out because I was like, they're not causing any trouble. And even like, because I record all my gigs on my watch.
Aye.
And even when I listened back to it later on, they were maybe halfway down the crowd and I could hear them. So I was like, oh God, I'm not losing my mind. At least they were loud. But I just snapped and I was like, you will
yeah.
Did a big old teacher and they were so horrified and taken aback. They were really like just like biting their bottom lips, just like this, and came up and apologized at the end. I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm very tired. I didn't eat my dinner before I came out tonight. And that's what that was about. It wasn't about you. So it was all fine in the end, but it's that sort of low level.
That's a big room as well. Like it was the marketplace.
it was the Newry Market.
Yeah.
It was
I did
such
it last
a brilliant
year.
gig. It really was a brilliant gig. And
They
these
must
two,
have been loud as fuck if your watch was picking them up from halfway down the room.
But they'd no people don't, and I get that, people don't know, like if they think they're just going, oh my God, did you hear that? But it was just like bop, 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 for like about 2 minutes straight, and then eventually I was like, ah!
Well, funny, I was doing Warren Point the week before, and like when I went on, there was quite a lot of chatter just from one wee group, and I was about to address it, and then I was like, they just keep going
Sometimes
and hope that they shut up, or is this going to make it more awkward sort of thing? Unfortunately, like I just plowed on. This sort of
that's what
stopped.
I know. Yeah, I do that, Norm. I don't think there's any point in being like, because it just makes everyone else feel like shit whenever you're like, excuse me, will you shut up? I remember seeing an act come over. She had just done her show. She was an English comedian. She'd done her show in the Fringe, and then she brought it to Belfast, and I hadn't seen it at the Fringe, so I was like, oh, I'll go and see it because I've heard all these really good reviews. And she's quite softly spoken, and she got up, and right at the start, it was a very polite audience. Now, it was part of the Cathedral Quarter Festival, so the audience were very well behaved. But there were two girls in the front row who were just chatting to each other, just sort of like, bah, 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 what are you doing later, blah, blah, blah.
Aye.
And she started her this is like a really serious, poignant Edinburgh show. Wasn't that funny? But and then she just stopped halfway through and was really like, I'm sorry, can you please stop talking? This is really upset. And it just brought the room down so much, because these two girls were like, oh God, sorry. And then she had to get back into her set, and she was like, so. But for the rest of it, everyone was just really like heads were hanging down for the hour, because we were all like, she's upset by that. Now I'm upset by it. It just brought, do you know what I mean? So I don't like doing it. I don't like sort of going, be quiet.
I remember seeing Jordan Robinson and Pug Uglies just getting to like the end of his tether with these people in the front row, and like he was too polite. He just went, will you shut the fuck up, please? He was like, I'm coming across a wee bit rude here.
Yeah, sorry about the fuck. Oh, well, listen, do you have another embarrassing story before we go?
No,
okay.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
You've never had an embarrassing situation on stage?
Probably like when I started, and even then, that was the thing. I felt no
but you don't feel. I feel no shame.
It's when I look back or listen back to
listening back is rough.
Your opening, I mean, there was one that Alan Irwin and I were talking about recently. It was like the first roast battle, and it was me and George Firehorse.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. And I remember it just being a brilliant gig. And then I watched the video, after Alan brought it up a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, that is horrific. It's
horrific
just,
in what sense?
Just the delivery and all. It was like, I was like so, just.
And at the time you were like, nailed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
it's like, I think I might be the greatest comedian in history.
I've never done a roast battle, and I don't ever want to. I don't think I don't have the thick skin for it. And I don't know how anybody.
I think, there's certain people that shouldn't do it. They're too nice.
Well, we know it's not that I'm too nice. I will start crying, as we know. I'll just start crying and never stop, and then phone my mum and be like, I'm 46. I'm still crying. Oh. Well, listen, Ian, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Coming and doing this.
It's good. I'll try and embarrass myself more often, then you can
please do
have me on.
Could you please do? Where can people find you online? What's your stuff?
Ian Thomson, ETC, which
ETC?
means etc. on Instagram. And I have a Facebook page, and I don't do TikTok or YouTube or anything.
You can't find him.
Yeah, you can find
Ian
me,
Thomson,
but don't expect anything, and you won't be that disappointed.
Ian Thomson, etc.
Yep. ETC. Ian Thomson, ETC. I don't know, there was another Ian Thomson, and I was like,
oh, okay. Rather than going Ian Thomson. 69. Yeah, I know. You very good. Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon.
Bye.